Coming up this weekend, it's Neighbour Day, all about making sure we are staying connected, that we're talking to each other, we're making friends, we're not isolating ourselves. I am so lucky to be joined this morning by Young Australian of the Year, Mitch McPherson. Now, Mitch has done so much to raise awareness about mental health. He's an ambassador for Neighbour Day and he started his own organisation, Speak Up, Stay Chatty. Now, it's great to have you this morning. Mitch,
G'day.
how are you?
Yeah, I'm really well, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a great pleasure. So, Mitch, we've got Neighbour Day coming up very soon.
Yeah.
You've been an ambassador for some time now. Why is it so important to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, my organisation, Speak Up, Stay Chatty, as you mentioned, is a Tasmanian mental health and suicide prevention organisation, and we partnered with Relationships Australia 12 years ago, and Relationships Australia National created Neighbour Day, or Neighbours Every Day, so the synergies around the work that I and our team do here in Tasmania around, promoting conversation and connectedness and being kind and all those sorts of things sort of go hand in hand with the Neighbour Day spirit and the Neighbour Day message.
And Mitch, you do presentations all over the country. You would have met so many people from all walks of life. Why do you think that so many Aussies are feeling lonelier than ever?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have a lived experience of suicide in losing my little brother, so I talk a lot about that and the signs that I missed with him in that lead up to him taking his own life, isolation and wanting to be by himself and change of routine and all those sorts of things. So I'm super passionate about that, and life these days has become so easy to just sort of stay home. I think social media's got a big part to play, but also cost of living. I think that it's not easy for families to put their kids in sport, to go to, public events, to go to the show. So, that's got a big role to play as well. So, yeah, Neighbour Day is that reminder for changes, but small ones that can have a really profound impact.
And I think you just said it best there, Mitch. You said even the smallest of connections can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
How does connecting with our neighbours make that difference?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that. And look, you don't have to load up the grocery trolley and bash next door neighbour's door down and go in and take over their kitchen and cook them a 4-course meal on Neighbour Day. But in the sense of being a good neighbour and connecting with your neighbours, just like walking down the street, head up, walking past people, that, the smile, the acknowledgement, the eye contact, the science behind that around how that might make them feel, but also the science around how that makes you feel more positive and connected. That will just show that person that you care, that you're there for them, and they might go through a crisis or a tough time, and just those small signs that you've showed that you care and that you're there for them might be enough for them to open up and spark a conversation that, you never know could be a life-saving one. But I think that's the beauty of Neighbour Day. This Sunday is that reminder about what it is, about connection, about the small things, and just to start doing and taking those baby steps, just to create a more belonging community is what it's all about.
Yeah, 100%. And I think a lot of our listeners who are tuning in this morning, Mitch, they might be saying, I'm worried about, taking those first steps. I might be a bit shy. How can people overcome that barrier of just taking those first small steps to connect with their neighbours?
Yeah, it's a bit like asking for help, something that I promote a lot around, going through a tough time in your life, and it's that step is a really big one. But I always say in that space, I haven't actually met anyone in my 12 years of being a mental health advocate that's reached out for help and then felt worse. Yeah, and that neighbour might absolutely be someone that, isn't willing to engage, but it's worth a shot. The positives that can come from a deep sense of connection are long lasting.
I think Neighbour Day is a great day to get started, like you said, Mitch. And where could people go to really get involved or find more information?
Absolutely. If you want to, immerse yourself in it a lot more, visit neighbourseveryday.org. So there's events, plenty of tips and ideas. One day of the year, hopefully it kickstarts some of those conversations and those positive changes. And then it's all about what we do moving forward from that. But it's a good way to start.
Fantastic. Well, Mitch, thank you so much for your time this morning. It was super informative.
Pleasure.
And you just had so many important tips to give. So thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for highlighting Neighbour Day.
That is Mitch McPherson, who is a Young Australian of the Year recipient, and he is the founder of the National Mental Health and Suicide Awareness organisation Speak Up, Stay Chatty, as well as a Neighbour Day ambassador. Now, Neighbour Day is coming up this Sunday. It's a great cause to get behind and a great starting point for conversations with your neighbours, your friends, those around you, to try and stay connected. And you never know, you could really be helping someone who does need it. And always remember, if you do need help, help is available. You can call Lifeline on 13 11 14. Don't forget Neighbour Day this Sunday, and you're listening to The Big Brekkie with Vic here on 1332 4BU.